guys, good morning. It's Dawn. I'm here with another question I got from my friend Bones over at DeviantArt. She wants to know, how do we make compelling characters, right? Any tips on making compelling characters? I want to know more about making characters, feel like they're from a real comic. First of all, if you're making a comic, and I don't care if it's a fan comic like yours or what, Bones, it is a real comic. You don't need your own IP or whatever to call it a real comic. So, second, I've got some stuff here. Did you know the brain can't tell the difference between real life and a dream, right? Okay, so people also spend time with you, even if they've never met you, right? People spend time with your characters, even if they never met them. So, let's unpack what I just said for a second. Think about someone you've never met, right? A character, a celebrity, whatever, but you feel like you know them. What's the deal with that? How did that happen, right? Probably, at some point, your brain connected with this person enough to register them as a friend. And what about the opposite, right? So think about someone you see as an enemy who you never met. Could be a villain, it's probably a politician, but you get my point. To your brain, these people are bad. They're as bad as the mean girls who picked on you in grade school, right? They're as good as your best friend for 20 years. Your brain doesn't care if you've never met them. It doesn't even care if they're real. So knowing that, we can kind of trick our brains, right? In this way, it leads me personally to one conclusion. And it's a conclusion that you guys are tired of me saying when it comes to characters and the real reasons people are going to like them or dislike them. You gotta write about them. Alright? That's it. You gotta put them in situations. And yeah, it's always nice to have character sheets and bios and all kinds of personal details listed out, cool art, whatever. But until you see the character in a story, how they act and react to things going on around them, you're probably running on a lot of aesthetic or, personal choices. And the compelling aspects of that character might feel a little surface level. So yeah, as usual, my answer is go write their story. Okay, video over. Just kidding! I have tips. I thought about the ways to present it last night, and here's how I was going to set it up if I was going to create a new character in a story. So this works if you're doing a fan comic, like yours, which again is a real comic, or a fanfic, or your own thing, whatever. As usual, the more practice you get with this kind of thing, the better. So practice makes perfect. The first step I came up with is to do an audit of the story and see where you want to put them. Before we begin, I guess I should say the thing that all of these points are going to focus on is more or less how to get someone to know your character, right? So this whole thing is going to assume that you know a good amount about the world you're working in, its inhabitants, the plot of the story that you're trying to tell. If you're just making character art, that's fine, but you're not there yet. When it comes to this stage in the story development, you first have to figure out what story it is you want to tell. And there's another great idea for a video I'm sure you guys would like me to do, so I'm putting a pin in it to tell myself to go make getting ideas for stories videos. So yeah, you have your story idea, your plot, any world building you've done, anything you've done to this point, and put that in front of you, right? You're going to try to figure out some interesting ways that someone might exist in this world, believably. Are they a warrior or a soldier? Are they a regular person, like a student at a university? Are they a specialist, like a doctor or a medic? Take the major conflict into account if you can. Were they once one thing until a certain major event changed that? Whatever sounds good to you and seems like a fit in the world. That would be a great first point of reference for who this character is. Your audience and their brains will call bullshit on someone if they're an astronaut on a pirate ship. Not that you couldn't write that, that sounds awesome. But be prepared to have a great reason for them to be there. Because that's the name of the game here, folks. It's fiction, and in fiction, it's all about assuring your readers' minds that this could actually be happening. That's it. That's the whole game. Video over. Just kidding again. Okay, no. So, second thing I came up with is do an audit of the people already living in the world. Find out what's missing, okay? So, easy enough if you're doing fan fiction. Look at the cast that's already present. Try to put someone in the spots not already being filled by canon characters. Alternative idea, and personal favorite of mine, take the canon cast, make foils of them. And this goes beyond who is doing what job. I mean, gargoyles can have 100 gargoyles, Power Rangers can have 100 Rangers, Ninja Turtles can have 100 mutates. You get the idea. We're not talking about all that. We're talking personality, I guess, types. with this one. So personality, find ones that aren't currently being represented by the established cast. One of the best places to start if you have no protagonist yet is to make someone in direct opposition to someone else. Whoever caused the story's major conflict is a good one. What was the villain in Captain Planet? The nebulous concept of total planetary destruction, I guess? How can we best suppose this? Well, with a guy who is all about saving the planet. Whatever works in a way that excites you to write, find who your story needs. Go from there. Interactions with other characters are going to be key in making your world believable, and therefore I think making your characters knowable. You ever say, I wish this character from this show would meet this other character from this other entirely different show? It's that stuff. That's it. But it's for your story, specifically. Finding interesting interactions should be at the heart of this exploration here. So make characters who highlight these possibilities, right? Make it fun. Third, get tropey. What do I mean by this? And first, disclaimer, I guess. I know tropes sometimes get a bad rap as cheating. This isn't, honestly, something I've ever figured out. Why would you say that? It's not cheating when a time-tested go-to archetype is been around for years, you know? But anyway, don't listen to that. And for those of us who don't know what this is, a trope is usually defined as a non-literal example that paints a clear picture of something. Using Google as an example, because I had to look this up in order to explain it, if I said worker bees, you know I'm talking about hardworking people and not actual bees, right? So in the case of character design, a trope is something swapped with a character typing. You know, we often say it's a character type. So a white knight, femme fatale, the tank. All terms we use to describe character tropes, and indeed, you probably saw a few characters flash before your eyes when I said those. They're immediate signals to the audience about who we're dealing with, right? When you're trying to tell a story, that's the point of all of this, right? A character's tropes are just guideposts. In a D&D game, your DM might use a thing called niche protection when creating the story. And what that is a way of writing that allows all the characters to share the spotlight, let's say. Pinpointing each individual's specialties, what they're specialized in, and highlighting those things in the story as it goes on, without letting the characters take over in that arena. That's a niche, right? If I lost you on that, then just think about it this way. Your story has two good guys. One is a swordsman, one is a magician. If the story has an antagonist who is immune to magic, then the magician is going to be, not as effective in defeating them as the swordsman would be. So same applies if you swap it. And the bad guy can only be defeated by magic. Then it'd be really weird to your audience if the swordsman swooped in and killed the bad guy really quickly, no problems, no questions asked, right? That'd be weird. Using tropes are a great way of judging as you write them if a character is going out of character or not, and that too isn't always a bad thing. Maybe the magician is wounded and can only do so much. Maybe he can't do anything. And the can only be killed by magic bad guy only has the swordsman to deal with now. So your swordsman's going to have to find a way to prevail, right, while remaining true to his tropes. And this has now become your job as the writer. How well do you do that without cheating is going to aid in making this swordsman compelling, right? That's it. Keep him true to his character. That's a big honkin' deal. Fourth, get comfy with limitations. This one, I know you've heard 1,000 times, but it's so true. Your characters need to fail. We could throw the whole of what I've already said into one basket here and pull it all succinctly as this. Compelling characters can't do everything, right? I think that covers a lot of what I already said here. Compelling characters cannot do everything. Obviously, the swordsman from the previous example has a weakness that is highlighted the minute his opposition can only be cast aside by magic, right? He does not have that. But it goes deeper than that, and our brains get a sort of, I can save him response when we see someone we like having a hard time. Listen to what I just said. When we see someone we like having a hard time. A lot of writers do a good job of throwing their characters into conflict, but they actually do a poor job of making them likable up to that point. And it's usually because we haven't got to know any of their real flaws. So really pay attention to this, guys. What I'm going to say next, if you don't hear anything of my rambling for the rest of the video and you haven't heard anything up to this point, hear this. Being ugly is not a weakness. Being poor isn't a weakness. Not having legendary sword of flaming death isn't a weakness, right? Those are circumstances at best. Real weakness comes from conflict, okay? An actual weakness could be a character facing some sort of opposition and being unable to carry out that which they know they must do to overcome it. It might be that their circumstances make it harder for them to do this, sure, but the thing you must show is not that they are ugly or poor or without the legendary sword of flaming death and call it a day. It's that they have a hill, whatever it may be, in front of them, and they can't get over it. You have to show weakness, right? You can't just say they have it. That's very, very crucial to all of this. All right, before I go on forever, the last thing I would say to this is to let them grow, but be consistent with their wants and desires. By now, I guess you get how intertwined with writing the actual story making a likable character truly is, right? You need to understand that the story going on outside of them is going to do a lot of the show factor, right, for the audience in who they are. But there's a second story going on within every character, or there should be. It's going to be pulling an equal amount of weight. That inner conflict, based on a character's wants, is crucial. As the hero's journey, aka the story, goes on, their personal journey should be shining through the whole time. What does your character need, or really, what do they think they need, right? If you figured out their place in the world, their personality, their essence, their limitations, you probably already have hints about what this is. You know, those other points I covered. The conflict itself might be the need. They need to defeat whatever to save the world and be happy for the rest of their lives. Okay, cool. Or they think they do. Character arcs, to me, I guess, have always been simplified thusly. What a character wants versus what they actually need. The end. Character growth often happens throughout all the points we covered. A character might start as one trope and end as another, right? They might overcome something and learn to accept their flaws. They might learn a new skill or no longer have the limitations they once did. Whatever happens, the audience has to believe that the character has a desire. And whether or not that desire is real need becomes clear as the story goes on. This is very universal, very real human conflict we all go through every day. What's the actual thing that fulfills that which we think we want? If that's at the heart of the character's quest, it's going to make them too feel very real, and that's a big deal. Mick Jagger said it best: you can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. Anyway, that's all I got for now, guys. Go check out Varulv. Go to werewolfcomic.com, my new domain name. Leave me comments and questions. Like and subscribe if you like what I do. I'm going to try to make these videos pretty regularly because y'all have such great questions. I'm happy you think of me to ask them too. That's entirely flattering. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Take care.